please, if you could join me, that would be lovely. Today, before I start the show, I did just want to say, condolences to Miss Arthurlyn, or to the family of Miss Arthurlyn Scott. You guys know that would be Mr. Arthur's, the Mr. Arthur story. You guys know the 7-Eleven that we could stop at. And I grew up with that little store right there next to Burger King on the waterfront. And Miss Arthurlyn would be the lady that would be in there serving you sometimes. And as well as I think one of her workers that has been there for a very long time. And I saw that she had passed away, and I just wanted to give condolences to Mr. Truman God and to the rest of the family, and just yeah, just to wish her just Godspeed on her journey now to the afterlife, yeah, and yeah, all of the nice can-dos and pies and drink and cola and everything that we get from there. It's been closed for some time. I'm like, what's going on? I wonder what's happening, and not there. That's what it was. So yeah, condolences to the family of Mr. Arthur and Scott. Also, it's so funny. I'm constantly saying this to the people that are in my life that I love, that I feel like we are in a time of loss. Somehow, one way or the other, obviously we're in this pandemic. It's been going on since 2020, March of 2020, and just a lot of cases of loss, one way or the other, and no different, with just seeing people that you see the photos, or you'll hear something, and you'll be on Facebook or something somewhere, and you'll be like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that person was even sick, and I did just want to say I was passing the public works office around, by industrial park, from CDC and the Water Authority, and I saw the boat, a black boat on the fence. It was funny because I thought to myself, I wonder, who passed away there. And then I saw a photo on Facebook, and I was so shocked. It was Levi Dwayne Allen that had passed on. And let me tell you, that really, really, hit me, because I knew Levi. He was, well, I don't know what his official position was, in the, I guess, in the last year, but I had met him as the person in charge of training the public works. And, Levi was such a great guy. And I provided some training, customer service training, professional image training, grammar and writing training, for the staff. And he was so interested in the young men, especially that were coming on, becoming professionally trained, and professional polishing, and just believing in their ability to succeed, believing in no matter what their background might have been, if they had been, had any type of delinquency in their background, or any type of, even criminal background or anything. Like, it didn't matter to him. He believed in their success, and he, brought me on board quite a bit to really work with the staff. In fact, I trained the entire public works staff. I did a retreat for them. It was about 74 or 75 members of one day that I did, and then I did a series of trainings. And he was always so interested in that. I think he ended up going to the ministry at some point, because I've been back and forth with him the last couple of years about doing some more training. But I just wanted to say condolences to Levi's family. And he had a couple of children. He was a parent, Crosshead Primary, because we have an after-school program there. So I was also involved from that level. I know he was a dedicated father and husband. And I just for a moment, I just wanted to just, just share some space for the passing on of Levi Allen. You know, wow, yeah, very young man, very productive person, very kind, very good, and he's now left us. Yeah. So what I want to say about that, I think, is that you just never know. And I understand that he was ill, and we weren't personal friends, obviously we knew each other professionally, but there are people in our lives that they might be sick, they might be going through something. We need to just keep in contact with each other. And I know we can get caught up in what's going on around us and the uncertainty of what's next and the uncertainty of life. And my goodness, I was saying that today to somebody, the uncertainty of what life looks like, what it's going to look like, what we thought it would look like versus what it is. And yeah, we can get caught up in that. And so much so that we lose touch and we lose contact with people that we know, people that we love, people that love us. So I'm encouraging everybody today, to pick up that phone, make that phone call, stop by that person's house. Because in Cayman, we still stop by people's houses. So go ahead and do that. Let's make that a thing again. And yeah, keep keep up with people because life is so short, it's so fragile, and when they're gone, they're gone. You know? So yeah, just want to take just a moment to do that. To Levi's family, his wife, and his children, just to know how amazing, his contributions were in his heart and how he believed in our next generation and, um, really excelling and believing in the ability to succeed. And yeah, just that moment there. Thank you all so much once again for joining me this afternoon. This is your Straight Talk Drive 5 show. Catherine Tyson, your host. And it's Hot Topics Tuesday, so we will be talking about that. Um, a couple of announcements I will read for you. Um, Music at the Library, that is Cayman Arts Festival, and the Cayman Islands Public Library Service present a musical treat with professional singer Karen Caffarelli and Jonathan Taylor on piano. This begins at 6 p.m. It's going to be where's it going to be? Well, it's telling you where you can. Well, it's going to be at the library. It's going to be the 30th of September. So I know where it is. When it's going to be September the 30th. So it's at the library, and it's going to cost $20 for adults and $5 for students, and that's up to 18 years old. And you can purchase or reserve your tickets at enquiries at CaymanArtsFestival.com. That's where you can get information about it. Enquiries at CaymanArtsFestival.com or 922-5550. 922-5550, and that will be music at the library on the 30th of September. And I like that the Cayman Islands, the music festival, the arts festival, really keep us going with this stuff. So good stuff. Cayman Heart Fund VIP movie screening will also be on the 30th of September. Join the Cayman Heart Fund at the Cayman Bay Cinema VIP Auditorium for an exclusive screening of A Sicilian Dream on Thursday, 30th of September. Attendees are encouraged to wear 1920s costumes, and there will be prizes for the best dress. So go ahead and Google 1920s costumes, and they're out there on Thursday to a screening of A Sicilian Dream. It costs $60 and includes a complimentary cocktail and an after party at Agua. For more information, contact salonprivé.ky, salonprive.ky@gmail.com, or call 326-2997. Proceeds from both events will go towards the Cayman Heart Fund's community program. And the Church of God Chapel 24th Annual Fall Praise Gathering ends tomorrow, so still going on. It's from the 26th up until the 29th. And all are invited to the 24th Annual Fall Praise Gathering services beginning Sunday. It started on Sunday and it will be going on until tomorrow, 7 o'clock this evening, as well as 7 o'clock on Wednesday, and on Wednesday, it ends on Wednesday, September 29th. Okay, so that would be really good. All right, so there are some announcements for you this afternoon. 943-3700 if you have anything that's on your mind this afternoon. All right, so a couple of things on my mind. Closed border is hurting Caymanians I see in the Cayman Compass, I looked this Friday, and so the compass is now for the week, right? So when Friday picked up, the online poll, do you support the government's decision to delay the reopening of the border? Well, surprise, surprise, 78% said no. And that's 10,348 people that answered in the poll said no, absolutely not. Do not support the government's delay. And 19% said yes, and 3% were undecided. I don't know, 367 people undecided. Yeah, what is that? What's that about? Yeah, you're undecided. All right, come on, 3%. Pick a lane. Okay, 78% said no, we do not support the delay. 19% said yes. I hear a lot of, I mean, it is so interesting out there on the streets. Anything COVID, anything border opening, the masks or vaccines. I mean, it is, I'm not even calling it a hot topic. It is like fire, fire burn down topic. You can't even, because if you differ from somebody else's opinion, it's like war. It is, man, I just, nope, I just stay out of that. I don't mean strangers. I do not know. I mean, somebody mentioned something the other day. I think I was at the hospital and taking my mom. I don't know something, and he said something, and I disagreed with him, and he was ready to eat me alive. And I was like, I don't know. I'm not going to fight you. You're a stranger, so I'm not going to fight a stranger. I'm not fighting him. He's ready to fight. And I was like, this is crazy. All of this division over differences of opinions. Come on, that was just far too much for them. It was just, we have got to start really, let's value our lives, value what is happening in this world, and not waste time with being at each other's throats. Like, you can think different from me. I can have a different opinion from you. That's okay, you know? So it's kind of one of those things where maybe that 3% is kind of undecided. Like, I'm not picking a side. I'm not trying to get in trouble with anybody. But yeah, letter to the editor of Cayman Compass. Closed border is hurting Cayman and we miss visiting. Our annual 2-week trip was canceled last year. It looks like this year will also provide no joy. Our parents have visited Cayman for over 20 years. They passed on their ownership to my wife and I about 10 years ago. We understand about the concerns around COVID-19 and closing the borders to unvaccinated people. However, COVID-19 is here to stay, and we're all facing boosters for the foreseeable future until everyone is vaccinated. We've been able to move around. We live in the U.S. We've been able to shop and dine out since we've been vaccinated. We also wear masks when required. We do not get offended when asked. Your country is beautiful. People are the most wonderful and friendly of all islands. We are concerned for their welfare and home lives with the continued shutdown of the island. Everyone is suffering there with lack of income from tourism. How much longer can we survive? Proper vaccination, proper social distancing, outdoor dining, which is most restaurants, masks, kindness, understanding, and patience with each other. Together, please reopen your borders and don't wait until 2022 to do so. Let's work together to be safe and welcome back to Vietnam. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's a kind of an appeal there to listen. It's not going away. We're gonna have to learn to live with it. I hear people out there are saying, no, we should not open the borders. It was very irresponsible of people, and that's why, people were exposed to COVID. Really? Like, come on. Uh, anyway, like, seriously. Um, let's be realistic here. Come on. We are we are not we're, we can't realistically believe that staying in a bubble is the reality of the world. I mean, come on. Really? Okay. So yeah, interesting. All right. So moving right along, quarantine then increased to 7 days for vax travelers. Government has published new COVID-19 regulations that set out revised conditions under which travelers, including visitors, can enter the Cayman Islands. The latest set of rules extend the period of isolation for fully verifiably vaccinated people to 7 days from 5, as announced by government recently in light of two separate outbreaks of the coronavirus in the community. A negative test is also required before departure from quarantine or isolation, which will be conducted at the end of the 7 days, making it less likely that people carrying the virus will be released from isolation. Government has not been able to pinpoint how the two outbreaks in local transmission were caused, though quarantine breach is considered the most likely given the frequency with which they occurred over the last month. But since the Delta variant, even in vaccinated people, can incubate for more than 2 weeks and still spread, the reduction of the quarantine period to 5 days may also have been the source if people were released when negative and asymptomatic and became unwitting carriers. Illegally landed gander boats are also considered a possible source. Other regulations are expected to follow that impact the community directly, including the reduction of crowd sizes at indoor and outdoor events, as well as other social distancing measures. These will be rolled out to manage the current cases of community transmission during the paused phase of the border reopening and to prepare for the borders opening and the expectation of further outbreaks. Okay, all right. So it's increased now to 7 days. A couple of comments like those. Let's see. Why? Increasing quarantine to 7 days and putting a tracker on won't stop family members from visiting travelers inside their homes, which, considering everyone has to test negative with a crazy sensitive PCR test that you can't even get in other parts of the world in order to be released, is the most likely explanation to how COVID got into the community. It seems like an added cost will change nothing. Okay, I would say then, follow the rules. You're in quarantine, you're in quarantine. That means no one visits you, you don't visit anybody. At the end of the day, I mean, we're adults, right? Let's just act responsibly, even if you don't like it. I mean, one of the things I don't like, I'm not happy with any of this. Come on, I'm like, really? We're doing this now? That's me. But I'm still doing it. You know what I mean? Like, literally, I'm walking into the place going, we're doing this now, but I'm still doing it because it's, you require a mask. I'm putting on a mask. All right? You want me to stand 6 feet? I have to stand 6 feet. You know what I mean? Like, unless it comes down to something that I really feel strongly about, it's not going to be about breaking the law and saying, okay, um, this is just foolishness and I'm just going to break this law. And then wonder why you're in problems of the law. That's interesting. Okay, so 70,000, this right here. 70,000 fans inside the Old Trafford this evening with a fully away end to command population under 65,000. That that's right there. I think that is funny because I I was watching football over the weekend and I saw everybody sitting next there. I mean, it looked like thousands of people. Could be wrong. No mask, no anything. I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, come on. Let's look around. Let's try to make sense of nonsense. Anyway, I'm gonna stop making sense. All right. Okay. Okay, great. So let's see. Quarantine increases 7 days for vaccines instead of it being dropped is nothing except deter all tourists from coming to the island. Might as well just say borders stay shut until all quarantine measures are dropped. Some people say not long enough. Research shows many infected people do not develop symptoms until 2 weeks. Yes, we know that. So it should be 14 days full stop. Uh, Learn to live with the restriction or pay the price. All right. And someone says to that, try spending 16 days in a hotel room and you will come to a full stop. Yeah. There has to be a middle ground, and I think that's what government's trying to get to, middle ground. All right, another hot topic on this hot topic Tuesday. Kids infected with COVID all getting better. What do you know? All of the children that contracted COVID-19 as a result of community transmission at the Georgetown Primary School are much better, with only 2 of them now having mild symptoms. Chief Medical Officer Dr. John Lee has reported. And while the woman who was the first person found to have the virus is still in hospital due to other medical issues, all of the adults who were positive as a result of the outbreak have recovered, with just 2 adults related to the primary school case still showing mild symptoms. Right? Currently, there are 57 active cases of the virus among those in isolation after 3 more travelers tested positive, including one who was vaccinated. And among those people, 57, 25 are symptomatic, including 25 several of whom are vaccinated. Vaccination rate continues to increase. According to the latest figures, over 90% of adults have had at least 1 dose, and a total of 105,000 COVID-19 vaccination shots have been administered. A total of 54,000 plus. 77% of an estimated population of 71,106 have had at least 1 dose, and 50,000 have completed the 2-dose course. 9 people have had a third boost or third or booster shot. Government ministers expressed confidence at the press briefing that the Camerons will reach the original goal of getting 80% of the population vaccinated in the coming weeks. All right, so that's good. Dr. Lee said yesterday that some other children unrelated to the outbreak have been going to the flu booth this week and have been tested. The result will be available in the coming days. Anonymous says, a comment, follow the science. You know what the hospitalization rate is if you catch COVID? 1% to 5%, with most of the eligible population fully vaccinated with COVID, not hospitalizing children. Staying closed is a fool's errand. People are going to be more likely to die not being able to afford food and shelter before they succumb to the virus. Open the gates, get rid of quarantine, and allow flights and tourism back. Enough is enough. This is getting ridiculous. That's a comment. You can go read the comments too. I mean, go to Canadian News Service and check out some of these articles. All right, anonymous, somebody else, of course, you got to be anonymous, because if you dare say your name and came out, you know who you are, and then you have a problem. It's sad. It's so true. That's why you guys aren't calling me. I know that's what it is. As a result, we would restrict people's movement and make us wear ridiculous door rags on our faces. Let's shut down a few more local businesses as well. Okay. Another comment, it is incredibly rare for kids to have anything but mild symptoms. Most of the 18 kids at Georgetown Primary School who tested positive had 0 symptoms. So tell me, please, why are kids being forced to wear masks in school? Businesses have more discretion than the schools do. Unbelievable. Well, actually, the businesses now have to wear masks. I'm sure you didn't know that wasn't happening at that time, but yeah, it is now. All right. Okay, what should be promised is that we won't be quarantining an entire school, all family members and close contacts the next time a child tests positive. That's draconian. All right, yeah. Wow, the relief. Snore. Probably time to start a COVID section on CNS. Put all these non-stories and the updates somewhere else. It's not relevant to the real world. Another comment. And other news, water is also wet. All right. Yes. Okay. So, yep, there we go. Lots of different thoughts on these things, right? But it does sound like, a large, number of the population are kind of saying, hey, come on. Well, based on the survey as well, the poll, online poll, 70% saying stop delaying enforcement of the border. Yeah. Okay, there you go. All right, another topic. CBC loses track of 4 Cuban migrants. I had to bring that today because I thought it was interesting. 4 Cuban nationals who are being housed in the community while their applications to remain as asylum seekers continue to be processed have gone missing. Customs and Border Control said they were investigating the situation with partner agencies but have not said when they lost track of the individuals or if they were tagged while their application progressed. CBC said the migrants are not prisoners and have no restrictions of movement on the island, but because the authorities here are responsible for their welfare, they are keen to find them. The last time the CBC lost track of a group of migrants, they turned up in Mexico. All right, so that's interesting. All right, so the comments were kind of concerned. People are disappearing without a trace. Are we not concerned? Um, you know, what? Why are we tracking them if there are no restrictions? Um, Free to move about, but they're only allowed to do so while their processing continues. What's the difference? All right, so we might, yeah, people are concerned. Concerned. Where are the missing people that were, their paperwork is being processed? All right, so there you go. A couple of things I'm talking about this afternoon. And if anything's on your mind, I would love to hear from you. Yes, that's a call out again. 9433700. Lines over this afternoon. It is your Hot Topics Tuesday on Straight Talk, your 5 to 5 show. I'll take a quick break, but I will be back with more. So just stay tuned. This is Catherine Tyson, your host, and we'll be back right after these messages. And welcome back to Straight Talk. This is your Private Five show, Catherine Tyson, your host. It is Tuesday, Hot Topics Tuesday, and we're just chatting about some stuff this afternoon. Of course, you can call me 943-3700 if you have to call me this afternoon. Yeah, I really would. That would be good. A couple more topics. So this was given update for COVID regulations on the 23rd of September. Now, I'm going to use this probably come up. I'm going to go ahead and some of these flights. The government has had indications that flights to and from Canada will resume in November. Premier Wayne Hampton announced at the press briefing that either Air Canada or Sunwing launching flights weekly between Grand Cayman and Toronto. So happy to hear that. Earlier, British Airways had confirmed that it would be flying 3 times a week via Nassau, Bahamas, between Cayman and London from the 27th of September. Also, Canada will be ramping up the regularity of its flights to Miami, Jamaica, and Honduras, depending on demand. Hammond said he wanted to clarify that Cayman is open to tourists and commercial flights are being allowed to operate routes to and from here. Our borders are certainly open. We are in phase 3 of the reopening plan. People can come if they want to. The only thing we are not doing at this point, the only thing we have not been scheduled to do at this point, is to drop the quarantine protective envelope, he said. Incoming travelers with securely verifiable vaccination documents are currently required to quarantine for 7 days. Other vaccinated travelers must isolate for 10 days, and unvaccinated arrivals are required to quarantine for 14 days. Tyson said his government will be assessing what the risks are and working out the best time for us going forward in terms of the border reopening and quarantine provisions. Okay, so good news about flight. Temporary business closures. A number of businesses, including the Wharf Restaurant and Rum Point, have announced they are temporarily closing up shop until further notice, following the announcement by government that it is pausing its border reopening plan. Canada acknowledged the level of concern among the tourism and business sectors. We acknowledge because of the pause, some restaurants have decided to close temporarily. Some are doing renovations earlier. That will have some impact. We regret that, but I'm certain they will be able to reopen and resume operations very well in the coming week. He said, the Premier said the government will continue to engage with stakeholders in the business and tourism field. Deputy Premier Chris Saunders addressed what he called the dignity gap for displaced tourism workers. The impact is real, he said. For many people, they are not designed to take assistance from government. They want to work. They want to take care of their families. He noted that more than 3,000 people were receiving the monthly government stipend of $1,500 and assured that those employees affected by the border closure would be supported by taxes. The government is committed to do what we can do to cushion the impact, and if we have to cut certain stuff to do it, we'll do it. We have to take care of our people. Strong financial position. Saunders, who is also the finance minister, gave an update on the jurisdiction's finances, which he said were in good shape despite the impact of the pandemic and the loss of tourism. He said government was still operating with a three-figure surplus, better than forecast in 2019. Extra fees from financial services, in particular, new private funds fees, were making up for lost tourism taxes, he said. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit more about that in a little bit. Regulations. Cabinet has approved a series of regulations that show Canada is moving from suppressing and eliminating COVID, as had been practiced in the past, to accepting that COVID is here, and we are going to learn to live with it and learn to thrive with it, the Premier said at a briefing. Health Minister Sabrina Turner gave an update on the various regulations that have been or were soon to be published. These include only vaccinated tourists are allowed to enter Canada under the regulations. Unvaccinated returning residents can enter but are required to isolate for 14 days. Indoor gatherings are restricted to a maximum of 100 people or 50% of the premises' legal capacity. Outdoor activities are restricted to a maximum of 250 people. Anyone traveling to Cayman Brac or Little Cayman from Grand Cayman must provide either proof of vaccination or a negative PCR test. Children aged 5 and older are now required to undergo a pre-arrival PCR test as well as another PCR test if they exit quarantine. Previously, this had applied to children 10 and over. Turner said these regulations were very fluid and the government would amend them as necessary depending on circumstances, including local cases and public health advice. They're very flexible, she said, even though a number of them have an expiry date that runs to November 22nd or to the end of the year. As we adjust and assess what's going on within our community from a public health risk where we can see the transmission and the spread has somewhat been identified, we can track exactly where we are with those numbers. We can always come back to any of these regulations and make the necessary amendments. All right, good job. They're on the case. They're on the job. Good stuff. All right, financial sector fuels government surplus. That's in the same line of what our deputy premier was talking about, saying we're in a strong financial position. Government coffers are still running a surplus even at a time of year when government revenue usually falls off dramatically. Finance Minister Chris Saunders revealed Thursday said that fees coming into the financial services sector this year have prevented government from going into a deficit in the second half of the year, as has been predicted. And this is something that during campaign time, I'm not sure if some of you might remember, when I believe it was quite a while back, but one of the independents that were running, I think 2 elections ago, not even the last election, not the one that just happened or one before, the one before that, was talking about so much focus on the tourism industry when in fact financial services brings in so much money, and that is often ignored. That's where that's a good place to look when you're looking at an industry that needs to remain robust. Okay, so this is kind of almost like agreeing with that, right? Government is now beginning to spend more per month than it is taking in at this time of year. While government is now beginning to spend more per month than it is taking in at this time of year, revenue from the first half of the year, a smaller monthly deficit for July and August than expected, is keeping core government finances in the black. Speaking at the briefing, Deputy Premier revealed that the latest public finances of the 31st of August said there was still a surplus of $147 million for central government, which is better by $16 million than the original budget first set down in November 2019. The minister explained that for this 8-month period, government has collected $731 million in revenue and spent $584 million, which left a surplus that was even better, to the tune of $92 million than the same time in 2019. He said the year before last provided a better comparison for the public finances than 2020 because of the COVID-19 lockdown. He said the situation was supported largely by 2 revenue lines from the financial services, namely $50 million in new fees from private funds, an additional $36 million from liquidated entities. The fund fees are now an annual revenue stream that government can depend on, he noted. Thanking those in the finance industry who had lobbied for those fees, he said that without them, government would have felt the missing tourism revenue. That's good news. The minister pointed out that the customs revenue was more than collected in 2019, but this may be fueled by the increase in world prices rather than people buying more stuff. For example, the volume of alcohol was down largely because of the lack of visitors. However, when it came to spending, COVID-19 was really biting. He said as government was anticipating spending around $200 million more this year than in 2019, largely as a result of the pandemic, either directly or indirectly. Nevertheless, the surplus was easily covering the gap between the increase in average monthly spending and revenue. Government is currently spending around $73 million a month, and in August, it still collected around $63 million, which was much higher than he expected. The average deficit is now expected to be about $15 million per month. So taking the depreciation and other accounting elements into consideration, things were far better than anticipated. We are covered where cash is concerned, and that is one of the reasons we have not had to withdraw from the facility, he said, referring to the line of credit that the previous government secured last year. All right, that's some of the comments. You better remember that a chunk of that money was from one-time items. Okay, well, yeah, but I also read that there are some items that will be continuing. All right, some people wait. Oh, so we don't need tourists to keep us afloat. Seems like we're doing okay. All right, good. Great. Now finances are in order. Let's start looking at budgeting for significant expenses that government will have to pay for. All right. Did you know that you can increase the amount of money you have by decreasing expenses? Shocking. Government doesn't understand that the only way to increase the amount of money you have charge even more. So let's hope that's not the answer. Okay, great. Um, you know, I think, yeah, it really just to say that we're not in a bad place right now, and we should not be overly concerned, I guess, about opening the borders. I think that's what that is trying to say. But at the same time, there's so much other moving parts that we have to really pay attention to in opening the border or choosing to not open the border, right? It's not just the tourism industry. I mean, we're talking about 3,000 people collecting $1,500 a month. That's a big chunk of change every month. So, yeah. And if people are interested in working and not collecting 1,500, because if the average 3,000 people are not, accustomed to making 1,500 or less a month, then that is definitely affecting their lives. So you have to think about that as well. Not, here's your $1,500, you're good? Well, maybe not, right? If I was accustomed to making 2,500, then I have $1,000 in the deficit every month. What about me? What about my problem? All right. PAC releases the security meeting roundup. The PAC government has released a short summary of the issues discussed at the most recent National Security Council meeting. It's a brief description of what happened. That's the first time any official information has been released by the National Security Council, which meets behind closed doors. The constitutional body was chaired by Governor Martin Roca, who said the summary reflected activity at the meeting on Tuesday, 21st of September, as he commended the current administration's move towards increased equity and transparency. All right, the governor's support for publishing the summaries. National security is a topic that touches closely on all of our daily lives. This is what Governor Martin Roca said. It is appropriate that Canadians and residents should be able to visit the government website and inform themselves about the latest developments in this critical area, as they're able to track how closely the concerns of the NSC mirror their own and provide us with feedback where needed. Yeah, they're a great idea, right? I personally, I always said I'm grown. I want to know what's going on with me, what's going on with my country. You know, yeah. Don't just come look at me when you want me to vote for you. Like, tell me what you're doing. Like, ask my opinion too. And then when everybody gives the opinion, and make the decisions that will be best for all of us. I'm cool with that, but I still want to know, right? The summary outlines 4 items discussed at the meeting. These include the security briefing from Police Commissioner Derek Byrne on topics including crime statistics and updates on efforts to address illegal firearms, as well as a briefing from Customs and Border Control Director Charles Clifford on CBC collaboration with the RCIPS. The members considered a paper on the adverse socio-economic and crime impacts of illegal gambling in the Cayman Islands, the summary said. They also considered a progress report on the implementation of a national cybersecurity and an independent review of CIG's network security by the UK Home Office. Going forward, the Cabinet Office will publish a summary of the decisions taken at National Security Council meetings on the day following the meeting. This will be posted on the government website alongside the Cabinet summaries that are now also being regularly released. Premier Wayne Panton said his government remains committed to increasing transparency around its decisions and encouraged the people of the Cayman Islands to use the new measure to gain a greater understanding about the NSC and its work. I'm very, very happy about that. We all should be happy about that because I think that the feeling should be mutual for those of you listening, that you want to know. You want to know what's going on, right? We don't just want to be engines to vote in leaders. We also want to know, what are our leaders doing? What is the decisions they're making based on, on my behalf? If you can make a decision based on me, then I would like to know about it. But what I would also say then to Caymanians, all of us, read, go on, look it up, go on the website. They're putting it on the website, so go on the website and read it. Pick up a newspaper, and that's why I was so upset. We don't have a newspaper Monday through Friday. Oh, it's online. Yeah, that's cute too, because Um, I'm here trying to look online, and let me find any more stuff inside that because um, it just seemed like I guess the price has gone up then in order for me to, uh, you know, get a subscription online and it tells me up every day. All right, I got it. I understand. It's more expensive to publish the news. Got it. Okay. But yeah, we definitely need to be in the know. We want to be in the know about what's happening. So there you go. It's going to be on the government website. Check it out. That is the National Security Council meeting. Some of the comments. Did they discuss how 4 Cubans managed to slip by our Coast Guard? All right. So another comment. So we'll release this to great fanfare and just slip out the latest COVID rules quietly overnight. When you let's see, scuba diving and snorkeling, and also shall not rent the same shared scuba equipment to another customer until 3 days has lapsed. Exemptions are mind-boggling as well. Exemptions listed in the regulations also include those sitting or eating without talking at a person's desk or place of employment, or at a table at an educational institution, or those indoors at a bar or restaurant sitting at a table. Sitting or eating without talking, who's going to monitor that? I wonder who came up with 3 days quarantine on scuba equipment. This must be a new discovery in the scientific world. Why not impose 3 days quarantine? I don't even understand that. That's funny. That is funny. You know what's funnier? When you're walking into a restaurant and they tell you to put on your mask to walk to get the, and then you take off the mask. That's funny. There's something that's funny. All right. So there you have it. Read. Go find it. Okay. You know what they used to say? It was funny. This is a long time ago. I think 20, I've heard this 20, 30 years ago. That the slave owners, really, just wait, it's coming. Slave owners used to say, put it in a book if you want to hide it. Now that's offensive, huh? That's offensive, but you know what? It's been a running joke for many years in the US. If you want to hide it from people, poor people, black people, put it in a book. All right, so let's not let that be the case. So in other words, we're not reading, we're not readers. So go ahead and read. If it's available, you've got to go read it, you've got to go see it, you've got to go find it in order for you to know it. Okay? Now, there's another thing that I wanted to mention this afternoon that I thought was something. So Dr. Lee's departure confirmed by officials. And I got to go into this tonight. So the chief medical officer, Dr. Lee, who became the face of the government's COVID-19 navigation strategy, will be leaving at the end of the year. A few months ahead of the end of his contract, officials have confirmed Dr. Lee became a national hero to some during the lockdown as a result of his daily TV appearances outlining detailed the spread of the virus, how public health officials here were testing and tracing and offering advice on how the country would get through the pandemic. Revelations in a legal case brought by Doctors Express about his role in the unlawful seizure of cannabis medicines dented his reputation, but the damning revelations were not enough for him to step down or be pushed out from his job. The health ministry continues to stand by Dr. Lee, even after a grand court judge found he had been untruthful under oath based on documented email evidence, and had acted with improper motive when he played a part in a conspiracy involving the customs departure to seize the medicines from the clinic. Government has not appealed the case and is understood to be in negotiations with Doctors Express, who is expected to receive significant damages from the public purse. But Dr. Lee is now leaving under his own terms. He said he is leaving to return to the UK to meet his parents, who are both elderly and in failing health. Confirming his departure, the ministry thanked Dr. Lee for his invaluable contributions and hard work in helping to keep our country safe from the COVID-19 pandemic, as officials wished him well. All right, they don't. The ministry said they don't comment on specific employee matters. but given the public nature of the CMO post and the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the rumor about Dr. Lee's departure and why we're being addressed officially. And it was said that there'll be a formal recruitment process to fill the CMO post, and more information about that will be released later. Speaking about his time and what became a very high-profile role, Dr. Lee said the biggest challenges came from the direction none of us would have imagined. It has not all been about COVID-19. I've also had the chance to consider the health care system of the islands from a strategic position, and I will share my views before leaving the post. However, you can share it now? Okay. However, my parents' health is failing, and although I've tried to support them from afar, they really need me there, and there is no one else able to help me stand now. As a result, just over a month ago, I shared my decision to leave my post in January 2022. And as weathered the COVID-19 storm as it raged around us with determination and ingenuity and sheer hard work, we are now highly vaccinated as a community. But I hope those remaining would please consider protecting themselves for the opportunity that vaccination brings. Dr. Lee said nothing about the doctor's express case, but the time being, I report findings about claiming to be acting in the public interest to start documenting evidence that showed otherwise. Now, you know what? So the reason why I wanted to bring this up, I thought it was a great topic. I had Dr. Lee on when I first took over the reins of Straight Talk in October of last year. Oh my goodness, it's almost a year that I've been in his chair. So I'm taking over from the family young who's living her best life out there, not sitting in traffic at 6 o'clock every day anymore. Oh, the joy of being Drive at 5 host of the radio show. I just thought, okay, so I had him in as a guest. He was lovely man. I mean, very nice. Talked about cooking too. That's cooking. Gave me a couple of recipes and stuff. Just help himself. You know what I think is really crazy about this? It just struck me as almost like a typical kind of caveman situation where somebody from somewhere else comes and then you're all over them. Like they're the best thing since sliced bread. Like, oh goodness, the Messiah's right. Oh my. And then something happens. I mean, because even I think like what did he get? Got like a top. He was awarded OBE for his outstanding contributions to health service in the Virgin Islands. Like, well, I mean, yeah. And then something happens, and then like we don't stop. Like all of a sudden now, the person is the worst person in the world. Like, first of all, like just loyalty. That's number one. That's all. I think that's the word I'm looking for. I'm searching. I think that's the word. It's so important to just be loyal. Period. So like the new friend comes in, and all of a sudden that's your best friend, and you forgot about the old friend, and then the new friend does something, and then you can't stand them. I mean, come on. So you know what? I know what Dr. Lee was basically saying. My parents need me, I'm out of here. Well, you know what? Because after a while, when people turn on you, yeah, like, something, I got some place I can do. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying if it did happen, I can see it. But how about we just really kind of think about ourselves in this situation where, how do we treat people? Like, and how we judge them wrongly, or how we go after them, when we don't even have the facts, or we don't just leave it to like why is like the public opinion is what destroys someone versus you know let something take its course or whatever. That's it. That's what I have to say. So, to Dr. Lee, I say Godspeed, and I say good luck and travel with you. Thank you for everything you contributed to us. And I wish you well. I wish you well as you go back home and you have a bigger life. Yeah. But let's take care of our own too. And that's a good one, right? A great question I thought on the comments was, is there a deputy CMO who is possibly Canadian that has been an understudy and has been trained since the appointment of Dr. Lee, and or will the person have to start from scratch? Or is this another example of no succession planning in the civil service, where countless overseas hires have made themselves indispensable by hoarding information and training at our expense? When will there be accountability for these positions? We pay big bucks to oversee, to people to oversee these types of scenarios, and it's disappointing. And I think that comment, I've also had a chance to consider the healthcare system of ours in a strategic position. I'll share my views before leaving the post. I'm thinking those views could have probably been shared before leaving, I mean, before now, right? Don't read me a report of what you've been finding the last few years, is what I'm saying. Then there's accountability, getting, bang for your buck type of thing. All right? All right, yeah. Just going to get 30 years experience in less than 8 years. How is that possible? Um, yes. Okay. So that's it. Some of these comments here. Okay. Yeah. So just really being prepared, like preparing someone to take up the reins of these positions, really important. I think that's a great comment for sure. I think that's a great notion. I think it's something that we've been talking about for, I joined the government in 1998. I left the government after almost 16 years, but we've been talking about that in 1998, succession. Um, I think that's very important, and especially during the height of a pandemic, it's leveling out, yes, but new things are coming up every day, and so, yep, that's something we should do for sure. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me this afternoon. It has been your Straight Talk, a Drive to Five show from your Hot Topics Tuesday. I shall be back tomorrow with Wellness Wednesday, and we'll be talking about something wellness for sure. Getting ourselves together, making sure we're okay. Go check on your friends, your family. Call your mom, call your dad. If you're lucky enough to have them still alive, call them, go see them, check on them, check on each other, build good relationships with your children, with your family, with your friends, and just value every single moment that we have. You're still blessed in so many ways. You're just blessed because you're breathing and you're able to get up and choose between that shirt or that shirt or that dress or that pants. So you're still blessed. So stay blessed, take care of yourself. And if you are not home yet, I wish you a great drive and be safe on those roads. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow. This is Catherine Johnson, your host, and have a great weekend.